Welcome to Kathy's Kitchen. Tonight we're going to be cooking creamy lemon Parmesan chicken, oven roasted vegetables, and Caesar salad. Tonight I'm gonna share with some tips with you how to make your meal from beginning to end and have it all come out hot or cold according to what it's supposed to be. We will also be using different ingredients, and I'll show you different tools throughout the time. Feel free to post a question at the end, at the bottom, if you want to know an answer to something, and my wonderful technologically daughter Izetta will let me know, and I will try to answer it, because thank God she's here. So let's get started. We're going to start, first of all, we need to turn our oven on to 375. So if you're cooking along with me, go ahead and do that, or you can just watch, it's your choice. I have a gas oven, so it'll probably heat up a little faster than your electric ovens, but just heat it up to 375. I'll give you a second to do that. And then we're going to start on, the first thing we need to do is make our croutons, because they need to bake in the oven and then they have to cool before we can put them on our salad. So it's necessary to start that item first. This meal goes pretty quick. That's one of the reasons I like it. And it's nice because I think we can do it in like an hour. We'll see. So, I chose to use hamburger buns to make my croutons with, but any bread works. You can use French bread, sub bread, white bread, any kind of bread that you have on hand works great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bread knife and just cut it into squares. So go ahead and take yours and start cutting it up into squares. Croutons are wonderful to eat by themselves. So that's probably pretty close to what I'll need, one bun, but I always like to make a little extra since some of the kids don't like Caesar salad, but they love croutons. And they also go wonderful on top of baked macaroni and cheese, or you can put them on top of your soup so they'd never go to waste. And you can just put them in a Ziploc and put them in the freezer and pull them out when you're ready to use them, if they make it that long. So get them all cut up, and then find yourself a bag to put them in. I use generic, I don't know what you call them, Ziplocs is not the brand, but, and I put my cut up pieces of bread in here. So go ahead and toss those in. This really isn't a science. There's no wrong or right way to cut them up. Just get them cut up into pieces and into your zippy. And I'm going to get rid of this cutting board out of my way. Give you a second to get that done. Then I have a little tiny baking pan, but you can use any type of cookie sheet. So you're going to want to pull a cookie sheet out, and also your tin foil. I like to put tin foil over my pan so that I don't have to try to chisel off the oil and butter from the croutons off my pan when I have to wash it. So just get yourself a little piece. I find that if you press down on the inside first and then you do the outside,
very loud next to the light.
If you do that first and you do like this, it fits better and you're less likely to tear your tin foil. So we're going to get that. Go ahead. I'll give you a chance to get that done. Then you're going to want to find your non-stick spray and spray the bottom of your pan. And I'm sorry if this is getting loud. I'm sorry.
It's just when you're banging around the pan.
Okay. So now I'm going to take a couple of tablespoons of butter. Just take your cube. I use real butter. A reason I don't use margarine is because margarine is 90%. It's 80 to 90% water. So what you're going to do is basically pour water on top of your croutons. They will not crisp up very nicely. So you're going to put a couple tablespoons of butter. You can do this in a coffee mug, a glass measuring cup like this. Or I have a little microwave container that I'm going to use throughout the night for different meltings of butter. So I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to take it and put it in my microwave. I'm going to microwave it for about a minute. Should soften it to a liquid state. So butter's going to be your best bet, and it's going to have the best flavor. You're also going to need to get your olive oil out, and we're going to get 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I have this cute little 1/4 cup measuring cup that measures out because there's 4 tablespoons in a 1/4 cup, so I use it for my measuring. So I'm going to have that ready to go in. I'm also going to put a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and I am also going to put a couple of cloves of garlic. This is a head. We want a clove. So let me get my trash bin here. We're going to take off this outside layer, and I'm going to break out 2 cloves of garlic. And this would be 2 cloves of garlic. You are going to want, garlic needs to be stored in a dark, cool place. Otherwise it will sprout. So don't leave it out on your counter. Don't put it in with your onions. Put it in its own little container. I keep mine in a little, I think this is a plant bucket actually. But I keep it inside this, and I put it up in my measuring cabinet with my measuring spoons and cups. So that works out really well. So now I'm going to pour the olive oil in here with the butter. I'm going to add a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Depending on how you're making your croutons, you can season these croutons any way you want. We're doing Italian because this is an Italian meal, but you don't have to do that. Now, I have a garlic press, which I'm going to use to do my garlic with. There's many different forms of garlic to mince your garlic. You can do it with a knife. I also have one like this that goes like this. So you can do it any way you want. It doesn't matter. You can do it with a knife and chop it up, but you're going to peel the outside off and take out the hard shell on the outside, set it down. I'm going to do both of them. This makes it so you don't have to clean out so much gunk out of your food, out of your garlic press. We're going to be pressing a lot of garlic, so buckle up, girls and men. There we go. That's one. There's another one. And that's all we need. Now, we also are going to add to this mix, because I like to put a little bit of Parmesan in with my croutons. So I have some hard cheese. This is not Parmesan, it's, in Italian it means old. I got it at an Italian store in Sturbridge called Tutu's. They have wonderful Italian food, and this cheese has sea salt in it, and so it really has a wonderful flavor. Don't want to eat the rind of it though, that's yucky. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take my microplaner or any kind of grater that you have that has small holes and grate some straight into it. There's no certain amount, a couple tablespoons is probably sufficient because you don't want to overwhelm it. And then also your croutons will have a tendency to burn before they toast. We don't want that to happen. Another thing I would like to point out is highly important that you let your oven completely preheat, before you put anything in. Because when your oven is preheating, it's actually hotter than the temperature that you're wanting. So don't put it in there until it's totally preheated. So it's all mixed up. I'm now going to pour it in here and use a scraper to clean it out. There you go. Close your zippy up, and then you're just going to massage those croutons with all that stuff so you can get it all over every single crouton. There you go. Then you're going to pour it on there and spread them out. And now they're ready to go in the oven. The important part about it is this. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to make these. You need to check them every 5 or 6 minutes so you can turn them, because you do not want them to burn. So about halfway through, we'll turn them. Okay, croutons are done. We're going to move on to our vegetable, because our vegetable is going to take the longest to cook that we're making. So we're going to get our vegetable. I'm also going to turn my water I have in a kettle for my linguine. So you want to turn that on low so it can be heating up, so when you're ready you can turn it up. So I'm going to put some salt in it. I use the salt well because it's much easier than trying to salt shaker things out. Also, I can tell how much I'm putting in. So I'm putting some salt in there. Salt everything as you go. This will make you a better cook. You won't tend to under or over salt.
Christine Croak, it says you're going too fast as we didn't know what utensils we needed.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Christine. Says that I'm moving a little fast, so I will slow down and let everybody catch up. So, I put the water on to boil. And next time I'll try to list the utensils ahead of time so people will know what to use. That was a good comment. So, while you guys are doing that, getting your croutons in, Christine, if you could just type in when you get your croutons in the oven and let me know, that'd be great. So, I am going to get another baking sheet and my cutting board for my broccoli. You could do the same thing with green beans or asparagus, so you take your choice. So I'm going to let you guys get that together. While that's getting together, I'm going to tell you some information about garlic. I love garlic. Garlic's good for you. However, if you buy it in a container, already processed, there's no value to it. It does not help you health-wise. Garlic is really good for your heart and many other things like that, your circulation and stuff. It also tastes delicious, but you know, that's a given. That's another reason I use a garlic press, is so I don't have to touch it and get it all over my hands. And like I told you, garlic needs to be stored at like 60 to 65 degrees, and it's really not suggested to refrigerate it. You can refrigerate it for like a week, but it's not very good for it. So, also when it starts to sprout, I don't suggest using it because it does get the flavor changes. Also, you can fix garlic. The whole clove has the least amount of flavor. The next most flavor would be slicing. And then next would be crushing, and mincing. It gives you the full flavor of garlic. And you will notice throughout this entire recipes that I've chosen, we do mincing a lot. Okay, thanks Christine. Keep me in line. Okay, thanks for being tolerant, guys. This is my first time, and yes, I'm nervous. Okay, I did broccoli, so you're going to want to wash your vegetables, and you need a bowl to toss them in, and I forgot to get one. I'm the queen of metal bowls. I love metal bowls. So get yourself a bowl. If you have green beans, you need to make sure the ends are off of them and put them in the bowl. If you have asparagus, take the asparagus and hold it in one hand and hold the other part in the other hand and snap the bottom, and it'll break off up to where it's tough and the tender starts. So do that to all your asparagus and throw them in there. On broccoli, of course, we have the heads. So I like to kind of cut around the crown like this. Kind of get rid of that big bulky piece that nobody wants to eat in my family. This is a little big, so I cut them in half. And then you just kind of cut them in half like that. You can just cut them a little ways and then you can break them. So I grew up loving broccoli. Vegetables fresh are really good for you, and doing them in the oven, you don't lose all that nutritional value that you do when you steam them, or if you boil them, you lose all that in that water. And so our family is huge into oven roasted. I do some pan fried, but I think this is a better way.
Do you have a more friendly, beginner friendly way of cutting the broccoli?
Yes. So for beginners that aren't, I forget, my grandmother taught me that dangerous way of cutting. Get yourself a knife, cut away from you, and cut like this. One of the worst things, easiest way to cut yourself in the kitchen is not a sharp knife, it's a dull knife. Because it's going to catch, so make sure your knives are sharp. If you don't know how to sharpen them, ask your husband or your wife, she might know, if you're the cook. And if not, you can take them to places and get them. So you can cut them like I'm doing right here on the cutting board. And just toss them in. So, how's everybody doing with that? Now, fresh vegetables are wonderful. Some tips. If you find asparagus on sale, but you're not having a vegetable to make for 3 days. And all of us know when you put asparagus in the refrigerator, the tops get nasty. So they kind of turn to mush. So the best way to prevent that is to get yourself I use my pitchers for flowers, and I put water in it, and I put my asparagus down in there and put it in the refrigerator. That way when I get ready to use it, it's just as fresh as it was the day I bought it. Okay, so we got our broccoli in here. Now, we're going to have to melt some more butter. I usually do another 2 tablespoons of butter. And since we're using basically the same seasonings, you can cross over with these. You don't have to get everything dirty. My mom says that, my mom used to say that I can dirty every utensil in the kitchen in one cooking session. And this could be true. So I'm going to do it for another minute. And that's probably because she used to do my dishes for me. Now I have to do my own dishes, and I still haven't gotten any better. So therefore, I guess it doesn't matter to me. While that's microwaving, I'm once again going to use tin foil to cover my pan. This is just because I use so many dishes, it makes my life easier. Once again, it's easier if you put it down inside first and fold it over the edges. I'm trying not to assume that everybody knows everything, because I have a tendency, my friend Glenna tells me, I'll be cooking and she'll be like, what you doing there? And I'm like, oh, you know, just what everybody does. And she's like, no, ma'am, I don't know how to do that. Can you rephrase that for me? So it's just things I've learned along the road from people. So I'm going to spray it. Put it to the side here. Go ahead and get your butter out of the microwave. And get your olive oil. Olive oil is really, really good for you. You know, I tried to find the history of olive oil, and it's been around since the beginning of olive trees. Everybody claims to have invented it. I don't think it's true. It's a toss-up between the Egypt and Mediterranean area. So we're going to put, I usually put about 3 tablespoons of olive oil in here. And then I add 2 cloves of garlic. Actually, for vegetables, I have, well, so much for that clove, it left me. I usually put 3 in with my vegetables. Take a break for a second and take a look-see at croutons and see how they're doing. Kind of touch them. Yeah, mine still feel a little soft, so I'm going to leave them like they are. And then shut them back up. Once you get to the point where you have your olive oil and your butter melted, we're going to peel our garlic again. Also, if anybody has an idea of a recipe they'd like to see demoed, feel free to put it in the notes, and I'll put it on my list of recipes to try. Next week we are going to be doing a soup that's a family favorite. And it's a spinach chicken tortellini soup. It's a one-pot soup, and it's served with crusty bread. And it's nice because you dirty a lot less stuff, and it's done really quickly. It can be made with chicken or without chicken. So, how we doing, everybody? Everybody keeping up with me? Or am I got the Texan speed? And if you can't understand me, I apologize. I'm
Audio's good.
trying to pronunciate. I am the queen of mispronunciation. Ask my family. They like to bother me about it. I just ignore it. Okay, I'm going to press my garlic. You can also chop it up on your cutting board if you want.
Christine says that she's looking forward to trying new recipes.
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to you doing it too. It's so much fun and it's so nice. Also, these recipes all work wonderfully if you want to put them in a container and freeze them and then take them in for a lunch later on down the road. My husband takes it all the time, and the girls also get them out and eat them at night or on the lunchtime since they work from home. So I like to use a knife to clean it off with. I try to get as little garlic on my hands as I can, so it will stay with you for a very long time.
We got another follower. We got 5 people watching.
Oh, nice. Thank you for all 5 of you that are watching. I know it's my first time, so I'm excited that we have 5 people clicked in. Okay, we're going to pour this over, drizzle it over the garlic and the olive oil and the butter over your broccoli. Then you're going to get your salt and your pepper. Now, you're going to use, depends on how much you like, but you need to do it to taste. And I just kind of reach in, get my thing, and I sprinkle it. Remember, the heads of broccoli will hold more salt. They will be salty, so be careful with that. You don't have the same problem with green beans and asparagus. Then I have my garlic salt. My black pepper. This is all seasonings are optional, and that's one of the things about making your own stuff. You can leave out things that either you're allergic to or you don't like or something like that. You don't have to. Take yourself a couple of spoons. I love wooden spoons. And toss it so that your broccoli or your green beans, asparagus, whichever. You can also add other seasonings in here if you want. You can add Italian seasoning. You can add a Dijon mustard into your butter and olive oil. You can also add honey. I do that a lot when I make carrots, and we'll do that eventually down the road because I love fresh vegetables. So I got them nice and tossed. It's really difficult. Just pour it in there. And put them around. Isn't that pretty? So this will feed all 4 of our family for supper. So what I'm making, my portions that I'm making are for 4 people, so you know that. But you can make more based on if you want more lunches or whatever. 4 adults. Or children that eat a lot. So we're going to pop this in the oven. It's going to take a while for it to cook. Our croutons are still a little not there yet. Okay, let's switch gears. You can get rid of your butter. We're finished with that. We're not finished with our garlic press. We're not finished with the olive oil. Olive oil is our friend. So, we're going to start out with that. We need another cutting board. We use the same one. Now, Chicken. Listen to me closely. I am religious about this. Chicken has a lot of bacteria in it, and you got to be careful. You cannot be cross-contaminating. You must use a separate cutting board. Or once you use that cutting board, put it in your sink. And I always spray mine with disinfectant spray as soon as I put it in the sink, even though I'm going to wash it. And I try to run it through the dishwasher. Hence the reason I use a small one. So I use this one already for my broccoli. I'm going to use a paper towel. Wipe off my broccoli remnants. I really don't want broccoli in my lemony chicken parm. This is parm chicken. Okay. So we have our chicken breast. I found with my family, 1 chicken breast is enough for the 4 of us. It depends on how much you eat. You can do 1 or you can do 2. So I open it and I take out 1. And the other 2 that I have left in here, I immediately, because I have my gloves on, I wear gloves because I don't have to worry about it getting under my nails or anything. I put those in so that I can put them straight in the freezer. So that they go and they're frozen. I don't have to worry about them spoiling my refrigerator, because if you're like me, things go to the back of the fridge and then all of a sudden you're like, I just wasted $20 worth of chicken. Especially nowadays, everything's so expensive. So first thing you're going to want to do is you have your chicken breast. We're going to trim off the fat. So make sure you get the fat trimmed off. And I'm generous. I'm not one that nitpicks. If you like to get it very close, that's fine. I'm not like that. So throw this away. And then, so you have your breast. See, it's devoid of fat, because that fat doesn't do well in this recipe. And you're going to butterfly it. Butterfly means that you're cutting it like this. See how I'm cutting it? And when you open it up, it looks like a butterfly. Or butterfly wings. So you cut it like that, and that's butterfly. So you have 2 pieces. Also, being a good cook doesn't mean you're perfect. We've all made a mistake. Don't worry about it. So I cut these in half. And I stack them up. Actually, yeah, I stack them up. And I'm done with my knife. I don't need my knife anymore, so I can get rid of it.
I'm going to be hammering. We should mute the mic while you hammer. I can do that because you have chicken hands.
Get yourself some plastic wrap. Pull a piece out. I'm going to wait a second because I know people probably have to get that. And also get your meat tenderizer. If nobody knows what it is, this is what it looks like.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go.
If no one knows what this looks like, it looks like this. Find one. If you don't have one, anything that's heavy that you can pound with, get that. And when I start pounding this out, we're going to mute the sound until I'm finished pounding, so I won't say anything, because it will be horrendous to your poor ears. So put your chicken in, fold in half. I'm going to wait a minute because I know everybody needs to get to that point. Chicken piccata is an Italian dish. However, against common belief, it was not invented in Italy. It was invented in the U.S. So it was invented in the 1930s by an immigrant, and it actually started with veal, because back then veal was cheaper than chicken, and it changed over to chicken eventually. But you still can get this with veal. And this dish is also known as chicken piccata. But chicken piccata traditionally is just lemon and chicken broth, whereas this is going to be a creamy base. Okay, we're going to mute it. Okay, everybody had their chicken done? If not, I'll give you a brief second. I'm going to get my salt and pepper because you need to salt and pepper your chicken at this point. So I'm going to take a little salt, like to pinch it. I washed my hands while I was in there. And we'll put some pepper on there. Usually one side is enough on this recipe to have this turn out fine. Because with the Parmesan and stuff in it, it's very salty. And so I like to do that. We also need to take a quick minute and check our croutons. Oh, mine are getting brown. Let me show you what they look like so you know what they should be looking like. See, there you go. So I'm going to kind of mix them up. And I'm throwing back in because I still have some spots that aren't real good. Okay. Now you need to get yourself, where did I put it? This is what I have. Oh, there it is. I'm used to pulling everything out of my cupboards. Okay, you need a flat tray. I actually have 3 of these that hook together, but it works really nice. We're going to put flour in here to bread and Parmesan. And we're going to put about 2 tablespoons. If you have 1 breast, you're going to put 2 tablespoons. If you have 2, I would recommend 4, which is a 1/4 cup. So I'm going to put my 2 tablespoons of Parmesan in here. And I'm always an overdoer, so I'll probably go ahead and put 4, even though I'd rather throw it away than not have enough. So I always double that, even though it's not supposed to be. And then you're going to get yourself some grated parm. I did buy this, and we're going to add the same amount of parm as we did flour. So you can see why I say be careful with the salt, because Parmesan is extremely salty. So then you take your hands and just kind of mix it up and break that Parmesan up in there. Kind of looks like this. Then I'm going to throw my pieces of chicken, well, not throw, I'm going to put my chicken in here. And you're going to kind of push it down so the flour and the parm will stick to it. So we'll let that sit there for a minute. Now, the reason we pounded it out like we did was because that tenderizes the chicken and keeps the chicken from being tough when you get ready to eat it. So I like to make this recipe in a...
Oh, they're saying too fast.
Okay, I'm slowing down.
Michelle, I can't say the last
Mikado.
name. No.
Oh, Michelle. Okay, Michelle, I will slow down. Sorry about that. Go ahead and we're going to be breading our chicken and frying it. So get it ready. Get yourself a skillet on the stove, or if you have an electric skillet, feel free to use one. I find it's easier in an electric skillet because then I have everything there. It's actually the right size. I cook it at about 350 in an electric skillet.
I think it's our neighbor.
It is. And you're going to add to your skillet while it's heating a splash of oil, about 2 tablespoons, and a couple tablespoons of butter, 1 to 2 tablespoons of butter, so that you have something to fry it in. So that needs to heat up. And yes, I'm messy. You can see that. Little information about chicken. You can freeze it in the freezer for about 9 months, okay? After 9 months, it starts to degenerate and break down, and I wouldn't recommend using it after 9 months. So I always like to write on my packages what date I put them in. You also can only keep it in the refrigerator about 1 to 2 days, okay? When cooked chicken will last in the freezer about 2 to 6 months. So that's the difference between fresh and cooked. And in the refrigerator, 3 to 4 days after cooking. I tried to do some research on this stuff for you guys, because sometimes I forget exactly, but I'm kind of anal about stuff. Whenever I have leftovers in the refrigerator on the third day, they get dumped if they have not already been put in the freezer.
You might want to check your croutons.
Yep, let's check our croutons before we get into this other thing, and I would call them done. If yours look like this, they're done. Put them on a hot pad and set them to the side so they can cool. And I hope you guys have more kitchen counter space than I do in my lovely Victorian kitchen that is under remodel. Also, I want to look at my broccoli. Oh, it's looking good. Okay, your skillet should be about ready. This is what your chicken's going to look like when you've breaded it, and you're just going to put it in the skillet. And we're going to let it cook and brown on both sides. And once it does that, we're going to take it out and put it on a plate to allow us to make the sauce. So,
We have another viewer.
Yeah.
Including me.
Are you feeling good about it? I want you guys to thank my wonderful daughter for setting all this up and helping me get this going, because otherwise this would be an utter disaster. So it's cooking. While it's cooking, I'm going to get rid of my cutting board. Discard my gloves. I no longer need them because they have chicky all over them. And get rid of this flour. You cannot use this flour for anything else. If anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them at me.
You can ask them questions too. Just to ask you if they have anything they want to talk about.
Also, this recipe will be in my cookbook that's coming out for summer. It is currently in editing, and once it is edited, then it will go to the photography stage where the recipes will be photographed, and then we will be publishing it. Well, I'm very excited about it, and that also is huge thanks to my daughter and some friends. This is what it looks like. This is the color about it should be, a light golden brown when you turn it. Want to make sure your chicken is cooked all the way through before we remove it from the skillet, because it's only going to sit in that lemon sauce for a little while, so you're not going to cook it. It needs to be cooked before we take it out. And raw chicken will make you sick. If any of my nurse friends are on here, they can tell you that for sure. Okay, this is what it looks like cooking. So I'm going to let that finish cooking. While that's cooking, so everybody got to that point? Give Lizetta a little wave on there if you need me to slow down. Because we are going to need to do 4 tablespoons of minced garlic, which is 1/4 cup. It's a lot. So it's going to take us a hot minute. So what I do is when I turn it over, I turn it down to warm so my chicken's cooking slower while I'm doing this. So I usually start with 1 clove, 1 head.
They're saying that chicken is cooking.
Okay, good guys. I'm so excited. I can smell it from here. Oh wait, that's mine. I'm sure it smells delicious. Also, I'm going to get some water. For those of you that like wine, get a glass of wine. You know, it never hurts, but I do need to be here, so I'm not going to have one. Okay. Now we're going to peel we start this lovely exercise again. Peel garlic. Usually I peel several heads before I start. My husband has a little trick that he does to get the outsides off. He cuts the top and bottom off, and then he rubs it between his hands. Yeah, see, I throw it across the room. Anyway, I can't do that. He does it, and it takes the husk right off. He knows what he's doing. So usually, I'm very spoiled. He peels all my garlic for me when I'm making this recipe. But he's babysitting our lovely dog and cat. 2 dogs and cats, because otherwise you'd be seeing a tail. And Delilah is horrible when I'm not looking at her. She will jump up on the counters. I'm trying to teach her not to, but I don't like it. So, get another head out. And I always try to buy the biggest heads, ones with the biggest things, because when I know I'm doing this recipe, because I know I have to do a lot. So each one of these little cloves you can actually plant and make another head of garlic. That's crazy, isn't it? So if you want to plant some outside, I just buy it. I find it much easier than trying to grow it. I have other plants that are prettier than garlic growing. So let's see. Let's get this all peeled. I hope some of you are in warmer country than we are. We currently have about, I would say, 9 to 10 inches of snow outside, and it was in the 40s today, but it's dropping down into the 20s tonight. So this is a perfect winter meal. I also cook by the season, so my kids don't get tired of certain meals. So they always are like, when we get near the end of winter, they're like thinking about spring ones. And they're like, I can hardly wait till blah blah recipe because I've missed it. It's been so long. But it's the best way to keep your kids from getting burned out on good recipes. So I'm going to press some in, put my garlic clove in there so I can see where I'm at. Let me show you guys that don't have a garlic press. You can buy these presses anywhere. One I currently have this is a Pampered Chef one, which I really do like. I'll show you how to mince it with a knife. That way you guys can keep up with me. I won't be doing everything the easy way. Take a knife, I crush it, then I cut it up. See how I have my hand on top? And no fingers underneath of it, or else you will end up losing them. Do not do that. I do not want anyone getting injured. Just keep kind of piling it back together. And make it whatever size you want. And the more you do it, the smaller it gets. Although, bigger might be better. That means we'll get through the 1/4 of a cup faster. So that's one way to do your garlic. Then I bought this off of Amazon. I thought it was really cool. And you just basically sit it down like this and just go like this. And there you go. It's all inside. And then you just take your knife and go like this and take it out. It does take some muscles, and it does take make a workout. So those are some ways that you can do garlic if you do not have a garlic press. Which, if you're going to cook from scratch, I highly recommend investing in one. They run about, I want to say between $12 to $25. The higher the quality, the more they cost. Like this one, it can't go in the dishwasher because it's aluminum, and aluminum can't go in a dishwasher, so I have to hand wash it. This little baby can go in the dishwasher. So if you don't like to hand wash stuff, pick accordingly. So I'm at a little over 2 tablespoons. Hope you guys are coming along with me on this. Whew. But I'm going to tell you, this is highly important to make this recipe taste delicious. You have to have all this garlic. Without it, not as good. Okay, more garlic. So I told you guys 4 heads because I wasn't sure what size of cloves you would have on yours. That's why I told you so much. And you know what? You're going to want to cook with it after this. You're not going to want to use that stuff in a bottle anymore. So, I'm going to peel some more here. I think one of these big cloves is comparable to about 1 teaspoon of garlic, like this, the big ones. So, or like this one. So you can kind of figure 4 cloves per tablespoon. 3 cloves per tablespoon. So let's get this here. Check our chicken. It looks good. Mine's just staying hot, hanging out there. We're going to take it out of there in just a minute as soon as we get all of our garlic. We just don't want it burned. If yours is already cooked, remove, and you don't have electric skillet you can cook down, get yourself a plate. Remove your chicken. We don't want it burned. And I think a lot of cooks get really frustrated by trying to figure out the method or how to do stuff in order so that their meal comes out without their pasta being a congealed mess or something. And that's why I want to walk you guys through this because it takes time. If you think I did this overnight, you're crazy. I had to learn over time, and when I catered, it was really important that I learned it. So it looks like as soon as I do this one, I'll be at 4 tablespoons. I'm hoping you guys are getting close. I've been informed by all my friends and my daughters that I cook faster than the average person. So I'm taking that into account. Okay. Clean up my little garlic mess here. Also, when I cook, as you can see, I keep a scrap bowl. It just makes it easier. That way I can throw everything away at one time and I'm not constantly running to the trash can. And for all my Texas friends, I think I still have my Texas accent. It hasn't left me yet. Okay. So if you have your, let me look at the recipe real quick. I know this off the top of my head, but I'm trying to do it right. Okay, we're going to turn our skillet back up to medium high, and we're going to throw our garlic in there. And we're going to cook it until it's fragrant. That means you can smell it without putting your nose down in it. You can smell it over here. Okay? So that takes about a minute or 2. It depends on your temperature, everybody's temperature. While that's trying to come to temperature, we're going to get, if you have a 4-cup measuring cup, I'm going to highly recommend that. Get yourself 2.5 cups of chicken broth. Chicken broth in the refrigerator only lasts 7 to 10 days once opened. So make sure you write the date on it so you do not leave it in there too long and make your family sick. Use a permanent marker. We're also going to put a cup of, here's my cup measure, a cup of heavy cream. I use heavy cream. You can also use lactose-free milk. You can also use half and half or regular milk. Any choices, it does not matter. I prefer heavy cream. I said it probably doesn't, but since it's diluted with as much chicken broth as I use, it usually works pretty well. Okay. Okay, you should be starting to smell your garlic. If you are, you're going to want to turn it down probably to around 200 on your electric skillet or medium low on the stove, and add your chicken broth and your milk. The reason for turning it down is we do not want this to curdle. So put your chicken broth in first, then add your cream. That way you will refrain from curdling it. Then you're going to get a whisk and kind of whisk it. until it comes to a boil. So just kind of keep an eye on it. And while it's doing that, we're going to get our Parmesan and our capers together. Need 2/3 of a cup of Parmesan. Yes, I use a lot of measuring cups. Everybody always looks in my cupboard and goes, why do you have so many measuring cups? I said, because I use them, almost all of them, every time I'm cooking. So I have my Parmesan. And here's my capers. The recipe calls for 4 tablespoons. I am going to drain this and use it all because we like a lot of capers in our food. You do, however. If your family doesn't like a lot, just add a table. If your family's not real fond of it, just add 1 or 2 tablespoons. Don't add the whole amount. That's the beauty of cooking. You can cook accordingly. This recipe, you can also use soy meat chicken in it instead of regular chicken. And that way you can make it vegetarian. Just cut back on the salt because soy meat chicken is extremely salty. So I'm going to go drain this in the sink. Okay, we got our capers ready. Just kind of stirring this. We're also going to have to get 6 tablespoons of lemon juice, which is 3 ounces. So I happen to have a little thing with ounces on here. Now lemons. I'm going to talk about them a little bit while you guys are kind of catching up with me. I tried to find good ones, but it's hard up here. Okay, so you can see how this guy has a flatter nipple on him. The flatter the nipple, the more juice it will have. The bigger the nipple, the more the rind. Okay? These also need to be put in the refrigerator and not in the plastic sack. Okay? And they will keep longer. They'll keep for months in the refrigerator if you do that. So, that's your little lemon recipe, lemon thing. So I'm going to cut this and juice it. There's many ways to juice a lemon. Yes, as my neighbor likes to tell me, you have too many toys. No, you can never have too many toys in the kitchen, people. Buy them, use them, enjoy them, wear them out and buy new ones. It's all about that. Plus, you're feeding your family good food. So this lemon is a little big. The reason I like this one is because it keeps the seeds.
Move the capers and out.
It keeps the seeds from getting in my juice. So you put it in like this. Now, notice I put it upside down with this here. If you do it the other way, you won't get any juice out of the lemon. And then squeeze. Now, if you have
lemon juice.
2/3 of a cup.
Say it again.
Hold on, let me check. No, I'm sorry. 3 ounces or 6 tablespoons.
3 ounces?
3 ounces or 6 tablespoons. Same thing. So, this one lemon, as big as it is, because I couldn't find any small lemons, which is what I prefer, is about 1.5 ounces per half. So depending on the size of your okay, your stuff should be simmering hopefully by now. Just let it boil there for a minute while we're doing this. You can also juice your lemon. If you put your hand underneath it and do this, you can juice it through your fingers if you don't have a juicer. And that way you can catch all the seeds. Looks like we have, can't tell, thought this had a 3-ounce marker. It does not. If you have a measuring cup that has tablespoons on it, it's nice to use. This one does, and I only have 4.5 tablespoons, so I'll have to cut another one. It's highly important to have the right amount of lemon juice to make this nice and lemony. That's part of this great savory flavors in it. And so everybody can catch up on the catchphrase of this lately is the word umami, which means savory. These would be considered umami flavored. Okay, so so you can be like, I know I can use that word they're using on all these cooking shows and wondering what it meant. Okay, so I used about 1.5 large lemons. Small ones, you'd probably need a few more. Okay, so I have my lemon juice now. I'm going to let you guys catch up real quick. And I'm going to regroup myself here. See where I'm at. Okay, let's see. Also, another way to make lemons last for up to a year is if you put them in water in the refrigerator, which I find absolutely crazy, but maybe those people that put their lemons in water with decorations have something. I don't know. I personally spill too many things in my refrigerator to have water just hanging out in there. Okay. Now we're going to add to this, simmering, our Parmesan. Sprinkle it around. You don't want to put it in one place because then you're going to end up with a huge mass of Parmesan. Then add your capers, spread them around. Put in however many you like. Like I said, I like lots of my umami flavor. And then take your whisk and whisk it up. And see how that cheese is getting on there? At this point, you're also going to add salt to taste. I add about a teaspoon of salt. I don't get overly carried away with it, so it's your own personal preference. I think really half a teaspoon. And then I sprinkle pepper around on it. That is going to be to your personal taste. I always say you can add salt, and when you eat, you can't take it away. Plus, remember, capers are extremely salty, so be careful. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Okay, so we're going to let this cook for a minute and thicken. My experience is it never thickens enough. So, get yourself some more chicken stock and pour in a cup. I usually use about half a cup. Then I get myself some cornstarch, and I add about 4 teaspoons, about a tablespoon, like a heaping tablespoon of cornstarch to it.
Careful with doing that.
Sorry about that, guys. Get yourself a whisk and whisk this up. Because we're going to add this in, and this will thicken this up for us. Mine probably doesn't thicken right because I use so many capers. Let's be honest. So add it in so it can start thickening. You want this to be pretty thick before you add your lemon juice, because remember, that's going to break it down. As soon as it gets thick, which will be here in just a minute, just kind of whisk it. And you can take a break from that. We're going to go ahead and make some thin slices of lemon, because we're going to put this in on top of our chicken after we put it back in. So I have 4 pieces, so I'm going to make myself 4 slices. because, you know, pretty food is always nice. So we don't want it thick like gravy. We just don't want it like water. If you want it thicker, add more chicken stock and more cornstarch. Just be careful. The reason we use cornstarch is because flour is going to make it taste like flour. We don't want it tasting like flour. Cornstarch will just disappear. Okay, at this point, it should be thicker than it was, and we're going to add the lemon juice. Be careful, you do not want this to curdle, so make sure you mix it in. Lemon juice will also curdle stuff. I'm going to let it boil for a second. If it's not as thick as I want, which I'm looking at it thinking it's not going to be to my desired thickness, I'll kind of show you with a spoon. See, I think that's a little liquidy. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself some more chicken stock. Probably just a little bit. Add another tablespoon of cornstarch. I know it's probably overkill, but here we are. Whisk it. Pour it in. Whisk it again. Oh yeah, that's thickening up like I want it now. Okay, before it gets too thick, you're going to turn it down a little bit more, and you're going to get your chicken. You're going to put your chicken back in the broth. And once we get all of our chicken in here, then you're going to spoon this over the top of your chicken cutlets. So you take a spoon and just cover them with the sauce because you want them to soak up that sauce. Now we're only going to have a little while left. We're almost done. Just got to make our Caesar. I'm going to make Caesar dressing. You can choose to make it or you can use button. And set these on top of your chicken. So, see how pretty that, ooh, I can't turn it. It's pretty.
I'm zoomed in.
Oh, good. Okay, so now I'm going to clean up some of my mess here so I have room. Get rid of my cutting board that has cornstarch and chicken juice all over it. Okay, now I'm using linguine, fine linguine, so I like to look and see how much time it takes to cook. It says 6 minutes. So I need to know that it's going to take 6 minutes to get done, and I need to time myself to make sure that I'm doing it. My broccoli's almost done. Starting to brown. Let me show you what it looks like. What do I do with my hot pan? This is what our broccoli's starting to look like. It's about ready. So it's kind of charred a little, which is nice. It gives it a nice flavor. So let's get this all cleared out of here. Now we're going to move on and I'm going to make some Caesar salad dressing. If you guys bought it, that's fine. Just kind of watch and then you can decide if you want to make it yourself later. I am going to tell you it's delicious. So, I'm going to get my 4-cup measuring cup. And let's see, let me find the dressing recipe. We are going to mince a clove of garlic. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, another clove of garlic. I know that you are shocked. Anyone that knows me knows I use a lot. Make sure your chicken is just on warm because you don't want it to burn. But you don't want it to be cold either. That's disgusting. Well, I lost my garlic press. Oh, here it is. I don't think I need cornstarch in my salad dressing. So we're going to put our garlic in there. Press it in. This dressing is really easy because everything just goes in and then you mix it up. Not that hard. That's the nice thing about it. Okay, so we have that. Now we're going to add anchovy paste. Originally, the original Caesar salad dressing did not have anchovy in it. The guy that invented it in Mexico, Tijuana to be exact, in the 1920s. Then he brought it back to the United States and he patented his recipe. But his recipe did not include anchovies. The anchovies have a very nice umami flavor. It's hard to find, so just buy a tin of anchovies, drain them, and then put them in your food processor and process them. So I'm gonna put that, oops, sorry about that, guys. I'll use my finger. Put them in there, and then you can just put them in a thing and put them in the refrigerator. They will last a long time in the fridge. Okay, so we're going to add that. Then we're going to add a half a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. You can never have too many measuring cups, teaspoons. So I'm not really exact on this. I just kind of get it out, put it in there because I think Parmesan, garlic, Dijon mustard, you can never have too much of. Okay, so we're going to add that. We're going to put a tablespoon, so we're going to need another lemon. Tablespoon of lemon juice. And yeah, I just kind of, you can measure it if you're not sure of yourself. Don't let you do not want seeds in there. That's gross. So, see, I told you, everybody makes mistakes. Now we're going to add, everybody has a different pronunciation for this lovely thing. I'm going to call it Worcestershire sauce. Everybody else, I don't know what everybody calls it. So you can just call it whatever you want. I'm going to put 1 teaspoon in. And not to break everybody's heart, but this also has anchovies in it. Hence the umami flavor. Oh, I love that word. I'm going to wear it out. Okay, now I'm going to use this for my mayo. You need a half cup of mayo. Push it. You can measure your mayo into anything you want to use. Use real mayo. You can use reduced fat if you want, but you need to use real, not imitation, not salad dressing. Needs to be mayonnaise. This measuring cup is a doll. Let me tell you guys. You can measure syrup in this, peanut butter. Oh my God, I love it. You can find these almost everywhere. Oops, there I go, making noise. Okay, so we got our mayo in there. And let's see. Then we're going to add some more of this Parmesan that we got from the Italian place, Tutu's. And I'm going to get my little grater. And I'm going to grate in, and I need to add 1/4 cup. So it's not going to take me very long. This grater does it really fast. So use whatever grater you have. There's lots of different ones out there. And there we got 1/4 cup. Pour it in there. Then we're going to add 1/8 teaspoon. I'm an 1/8. That's such a tiny amount. Here it is. 1/8 teaspoon of salt and pepper. You can do fresh ground or not fresh ground. I'm not in the mood to grind fresh, so I use the regular. And Okay, that's it. And then we can mix it up. So we're going to mix this up. And see that dressing coming together? Looks just like Caesar. Oh, smells like it too. Okay, let's move this stuff out of our way. And we'll finish off our Caesar salad. Actually, no, we need to get our water boiling first and get our linguine in the, yeah, turn your burner up to high and bring your water to a boil. While we're waiting for that to come to a boil, clean some more stuff off. I'm such a messy cook. Any questions for me while we take this quick little break? Everybody's cooking. Your kitchen should be smelling delicious. The Caesar salad recipe is going to be in my fall cookbook. That will be following my summer one. You get the picture. So, let's see. I need another cutting board. We're not going to have any croutons left because my daughter is over here snacking on them.
Weren't you thanking me earlier?
Oh yeah, I was. Okay, I buy my lettuce like this because it's already cooked. It's the heart of the romaine lettuce and it isn't dirty. I love that. So make sure if your lettuce is not clean, you're going to want it clean. I always remove the outside leaves. I know, people think I waste, but I don't like any of that yucky stuff on it. I don't know who's touched it. And if there's like a leaf like this, it has bug bites on it, I take it off too. And then you need to cut off the bottom because you don't want this part in here, this core is very bitter. You can tear it or slice it. I always slice it because our family eats it all. And what we don't eat, yes, my dog Ripper loves, and he eats it. He literally sits at the table and watches to make sure we don't eat it all. So that was kind of a small head, so I'll probably add another one. You can do however much your family will eat. Caesar salad does not keep in the refrigerator. So only make what you're going to eat. The salad dressing will keep. And so will the croutons. And I don't like those end pieces either. Okay, let's check our water. So this is what our lettuce is looking like so far. Mine's boiling, hard boil. Take your linguine out. I have a pasta kettle, which I really like because it holds the whole piece. When you put your pasta down in the kettle, you need to take a pasta spoon or some kind of spoon and move it around. Otherwise, it's going to stick together and you're going to have a huge clump of pasta, which is disgusting. So, get it down in the water. Move it around. And then I have Alexa, or you can set a timer somewhere. Alexa, set a timer for 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Okay, so from this point forward, I have 6 minutes till supper will be done. I'm going to take my croutons, sprinkle them over the top, however many you think you want. We like a lot. Isn't that pretty? Now you're going to shave some Parmesan on top, or you can buy it shaved, but fresh shaved. And I use a cheese slicer. I use this for this more than I do to actually anything else. So you're going to just take it, turn it like this, and go like this, and see how those little slices come off?
Are you able to turn it aside? There you go. Don't hurt yourself. But
I'm not. Just be careful because you don't want to cut yourself on it. So, this piece is a little... You don't want to get the rind, so like I see some rind on the end here, so I'm going to cut that off. The rind of these hard cheeses, Italian cheeses, is not tasty. Do not put it in your food. So put however much you like in your Caesar salad. They always give an amount, but I ignore it. I do whatever I want. I highly recommend everyone else do the same thing. So, throw this piece away. That's just rind. I'm going to stir my pasta again. You have to be multi-talented when you're cooking a meal to get it out at the same time. So I don't want this to stick together. But do not stir it too much because then you will make it a pot of glue. So there's a fine line. Okay, so we got our cheese in there. Our chicken is done and waiting to be served. I'm betting, let me look at our my broccoli. Our broccoli's done. You can take it out and set it up on top of your stove at the back. It'll keep it hot. So this is what it looks like. And it's nice and yummy. We love it. And all the good things about it has stayed with me. Okay, now we are going to toss our salad with our Caesar dressing. I recommend putting on just a little bit to start, not all of it to start with, because you don't want to get your salad dressing your Caesar salad too soggy. So take yourself a couple spoons or tongs like this and start mixing. So the optimal ratio is everything's covered in salad dressing but not soggy, if that makes any sense. I'll show you here in a second. Okay, that's still a little dry, so I'll add a little more. You can add your store-bought, or if you made it with me, either one. It's your call. We use both. Well, used to, but now that I made it, I am now stuck making it here at the house. That is one word of warning I'll give to each of you. Once you start making food from scratch, you will not be stopping by and picking takeout up or buying frozen stuff and putting it in the oven. Okay, so this is our Caesar salad. Look how pretty that is. I'm going to set this aside. Check my pasta, make sure it's not sticking. Oh, nope, looks good. So, once again, next week we're going to be making spinach chicken tortellini soup. I will be putting up a list of the ingredients plus a list of tools, so you guys will be able to have those out ahead of time and not be like scrambling to find them in your kitchen. It's only fair. And it's a wonderful one-pot soup. It does not freeze well, I have found out, so you want to make sure you only make enough that your family can eat it. It can be made without chicken, or it can be made with soy chicken. You can also leave the tortellinis out, or you can find gluten-free tortellinis if you are gluten intolerant. So those are some things about the recipes. I always try to make my recipes in my family for people that have different things that need different things. I will change the recipe to fit them, so everybody's eating the same food, just a little bit different ingredients. And it's not really that hard. Okay. I don't know how long we have left. Alexa, how much time left?
Alexa, how much time on my timer?
You have 20 seconds left.
Okay, 20 seconds. So we're going to be here in a second draining it. Then we'll plate it. I'll make a plate, and then we will call it a night. And I hope those of you that made it enjoy this recipe this evening. Any questions for me while we're at the end of this?
Or you ask if you need to go over anything.
Is there anything that I need to repeat that you missed?
Alexa, stop.
Let me drain this pasta real quick.
They're a little delayed, so.
Okay, when you have pasta and you've drained it, you must immediately add some olive oil and stir it around to keep it from sticking together. Otherwise, you once again, I know I've said this before, you're going to have a clump. You're going to have a clump. Don't want that. So stir that around. Let me get a dinner plate out and I will show you what this looks like. Get yourself some linguine. Put it on your plate. Get yourself a chicken ricotta and some sauce or sauce. Some Caesar salad. And some broccoli. And there you go. You have your dinner. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll join me again next Wednesday. If there's a better time and you think I need to move it to a different time, let me know, and I'll check into doing that. Thank you very much, and everybody enjoy their supper.